Hey, everybody, and welcome to the GrowLeader Podcast, where we grow leaders that grow churches by helping them reach their full potential. If you're new to us, my name is Matt. So glad to have you with us today. Now, normally, Pastor Chris Hodges would be sitting right beside me. Today's going to be a little bit different, but we have something that's going to help you, especially for you pastors, church leaders, and leaders within the local church. Today, I'm joined by a great friend, Pastor Dino Rizzo. He's not only a pastor and a leader, but he's also a passionate voice for outreach within the local church. And today, we're going to talk about how outreach can help your church reach your city, serve your neighbors, and reflect the love of Jesus in a tangible way. And we're also going to talk about Serve Day. We just got finished with Serve Day, happened all across the world. Welcome to the GrowLeader Podcast. Again, Pastor Dino Rizzo.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. And I'm humbled to be sitting in the seat of the man. And so he's much better and a whole lot smarter. So I thank God for Pastor Chris and you and all the GrowLeader audience. I get to listen to this podcast or watch it, and I'm thankful for how it's equipping leaders and it's just helping people. I mean, I think that's what people need. Hey, give me a little bit of help, and give me a hint on how to do things better.
That's right. Well, there's only been a couple of times in the GrowLeader podcast history where PC's thrown me the keys and said, hey, you drive this time.
Well. And
some of those guests include people like John Maxwell.
My goodness.
So only the heavy hitters are here when PC's not here. So Pastor Dino Rizzo.
I know I'm heavy. I don't know if I'm a heavy hitter. I batted like fifth in the lineup, Myrtle Beach High baseball team, so not sure about that. But I'm excited to talk about this topic because, Matt, I was reached through outreach. I came to Christ because the church did a serve moment. They went outside the walls of their church. I believe it's almost impossible to grow your church if you're not engaging with the community. So I'm so excited about talking about this.
So I know that story. I'd love for you to actually tell the story. How does a beach kid from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and then a pastor in Louisiana, I mean, you have this massive heart for outreach within the local church. Tell a little bit of your story and then how you've developed this over the years.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I love about GrowLeader is we teach people, you know God, you find some freedom, you discover purpose, and then you go make a difference.
Right.
And there was a small church who did that in Tabor City, North Carolina. They came to Tabor City, North Carolina, and then they came to Myrtle Beach and did an outreach and decided to go do something, do a serve day. And because of that, I was reached. I was far from God. I was lost. And when you think about Luke 15 and the lost sheep and the lost coin and the lost son, I was like all that. I was all the above. And so they did an outreach. They did something practical where they bought snow cones and went and started talking to people. I'd seen other people bullhorns and different ways that they were reaching people, but this was conversational.
Yeah.
This was kind. This was forward facing to people, and they listened. They shared the gospel. 2 weeks later, I gave my life to Jesus Christ because the church were generous, because people gave, and because they did something beyond the walls of their church.
Yeah.
They got outside the walls of their church.
I love that, it's everybody has an origin story. I love that's your origin story. And even so much of what we did, man, just a couple of weeks ago, Serve Day was unbelievable. Tell everybody, if you don't know what Serve Day is, what is Serve Day and who all's involved?
Yeah, because Serve Day is a catalyst day. I mean, I think, the church, Jesus, one of the last words he said was go. So Serve Day is a way to rally everybody to go. And so we create these anchor projects, and we did that at all of our campuses. And then it's a lot led through small groups and just individuals that have a heart for their community. They know people in their neighborhood. They know people that they work with. Everyone sees needs. If you look up and notice what's happening in your city, you love your city. You love people in your city. And so you're moved with compassion to be able to say, hey, let's go bring groceries. Let's go to the nursing home. Let's go help that widow down the street who, the deck on her back porch is falling apart. Let's go partner up with that boys' home and do everything we can to maybe create some beautification where we could do some landscaping there. There's just a lot. And we did all that at all of our locations. And I mean, my goodness, thousands and thousands of people. And then, of course, there's about 2,800 churches around the world who participated in a serve day, but you could do it all the time. I believe it's the heart of a church to be able to see what's happening in a community.
Yeah, and I want to talk about how to develop that serve culture, because it is more than an event. If you're not careful, things like Serve Day can become an event. There's an outreach culture within our church, though. Go back to if you're talking to Pastor Dino Rizzo and Dylan Rizzo as they're planting Healing Place Church 2 or 3 years in.
Yeah.
Where was the moment where you thought, man, I've got to do something for these people in my city? And how did that grow? How did your culture of outreach grow there within the church?
Well, we were an outreach driven church. And so, I think because I was reached that way, then it was easy to step into that. A lot of everybody comes from a different origin story. And so, but at the end of the day, we looked around. I remember our first outreach was to widows, and that one's in the Bible.
Yep.
That's a big thing here at Highlands. So that was an easy one.
If you don't know where to start, that's a pretty great place to start.
That's a good one to start with.
Yeah.
And so we bought flowers for a couple widows and brought them to their home and asked them if they had any other needs. We had one widow in our church. She knew 6 other widows that she had played games with, board games, and she said, well, let me ask them. We found out there were some other needs. About 15 years later, there are 300 widows that we are caring for. And a lot of the projects that we did on Serve Day were those projects.
Yep.
And then the other thing we did is we connected with one of our middle schools in our community that was underfunded, that was reaching children that are a little bit more vulnerable, reduced opportunities, and we brought school supplies. The first big project we did as a church were school supplies to a middle school that was underfunded. And everybody was able to be a part of that. And so it is a culture. You thank God for the moment. You thank God for the event, but you want to get that into being able to be a part of what can we do that's sustainable in our community that has needs.
You've always done such a great job, even since becoming part of our team, of making outreach feel doable or attainable. Like anybody can go out and do this. But I know, because we see behind the scenes, it's not always clean. Tell me some gritty outreach stories that you remember.
Well, I mean, it's the life of Christ. When Jesus, every day he got up and said, okay, let's go to Nain. Let's go down here. Let's go to this city. Let's go to that village. And there were people stopping him with sickness. There were people stopping him with problems. There were people stopping him that had issues. And so when you go outside the walls of the church, it gets a little crazy and it gets fun. And I just thank God for all those moments, whether you're giving out food, whether you're giving out clothing, whether you're partnering with one of your service providers, which we do a lot of our outreach through service providers.
We're going to come back to that, using partners.
That is huge.
Yep.
But I'll never forget one time we got a truckload of pajamas. And we were like, what are we going to do with these? They were all leopard print and animal print, like cheetah. It was like cheetah and leopard. And we were going to throw them away. And I said, whoa. We went out to a community, set up some 8-foot tables. I got it all set up. I left because it was ladies' pajamas. And I let the ladies handle it. And the lady called me back later and said, it was gone in 10 minutes. Matt, gone in 10 minutes.
Wow.
So later on that year, we were giving out some food into that community. A man stopped me and said, hey, you give my wife those leopard print pajamas? I said, yeah. He said, you a good man. I needed that. And so you just never know what God can use, because it's just amazing. Sometimes we feel like, well, that's not going to make a difference in my life. But you don't know that that's not going to make a difference in a single mom family or a family that's going through a trial or a pain. So it's seeing a need. And Pastor Chris, Pastor Mark, all of our campus pastors talk about this. You see a need, you meet a need.
Yeah, and I think that some people see Highlands and see our Serve Day. You can even see it on social media. A lot of presence. I think with Serve Day, just globally, all over the place, a lot of presence. How do you keep, if you're a local pastor trying to start outreach culture within your church, how do you keep moments like Serve Day, even Giving Hope, what we do at Christmas time, from being more than just a photo op for your church?
It's always more than that. And Pastor Chris did a good job of that here. He always says it's leadership.
Yeah.
Is there a leader in your church who has a heart for something? Get around that person who has a heart for something. Is there a parole officer who has a heart for children that are in a tough situation?
Yeah.
We had Dr. Record, who had a heart for our community and want to provide medical services for those that didn't have that opportunity. It's a teacher in a school that's at risk. It's a correctional officer that's working at a juvenile detention who believes that, hey, nothing's going to happen at Christmas. So often your outreach is sitting in your church. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it takes a lot of people, nor does it take a lot of money. Some of the best outreaches, I'll never forget, we had a heart for LSU when I was pastoring in Baton Rouge, and a friend of mine, JP, got together and said, why don't we go out there when some of the bars close? Those kids are hungry. And he partnered up with Chick-fil-A, and we went out there when the bars were closed and gave out Chick-fil-A sandwiches. There are people that came to Christ that got involved with the church when they saw a church doing a practical kindness like that. And it created a lot of conversation. And so it's just things like that you could do that don't take a lot of money, don't take a lot of people, but it's just, what are the needs? And that was an idea that came from within the church. It was not an idea that I thought of.
Well, I think that even your story, I mean, you came to Jesus with as a crazy, super expensive ministry. It was a snow cone.
Yeah, it was a grape snow cone.
It was a snow cone.
I was sweating, and the guy talking to me about Christ said, "You look hot." I said, "Well, it's 105 degrees out
Right.
here." He went over, got me a grape snow cone, and I ate it, and I thought, why would he do that? It made me curious. It made me think, why would he do something like that? So it helped me listen better. And I think so often, whether it's a meal or it's being able to be there for someone who's in crisis, just being able to do that says that person cares about me. And I think there is 100 ways. I know that we do everything we can to help our small groups be able to have all these different ideas. It's on serveday.com. It's in our church's website. It's on GrowLeader. 100%. You can find all this on GrowLeader. All these ideas that don't cost a lot of money to engage your community, whether it's food, whether it's reaching out with a partner, on and on. There's so many things you can do. Even foster care families, they always need support.
Yep. Talk about partnerships one more time, just because expand on that. We don't try to recreate the wheel. How can you leverage partners within your city who are already doing great work to help you build an outreach culture in your city?
Yeah, one of our favorite partners here at Highlands is Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And so what they do is they provide bedding and beds, literally the bed.
Yeah, build beds.
Build beds for families, children that don't have a bed. Well, I don't know who those kids are. I don't know where they're at, but we put all of our people there. And in a matter of about 3 or 4 hours, we build 100 beds. We're able to provide for them because people are generous. And so I can't do that, but they've identified families that have that vulnerability. So a partnership like that, well, I'll never forget last year watching Pastor Mark brand a scripture on that bed, where that child's going to sleep on that bed and see that scripture. Pastor Mark and Jill were doing that, and that bed gets to that family. So often a partner, they've got an idea, they have a need, they know where there's sensitivity in a community, and so what they need is people. They need some sweat equity. They need somebody who says, hey, we'll give you a Saturday. We'll give you 15 people on a Thursday night to be able to provide for that type of outreach. We do a lot of that here at Highlands.
Yeah, I think it just makes everything more accessible. We're not trying to build a community food bank because we have a great one in the city. So we're going to partner with the one we already have and let them know that we're here for them. Why do you think, I mean, you talk to local church pastors all the time, just with the association related churches, constantly helping church planners. Why do you think some pastors or church leaders avoid outreach altogether? Is it a fear of failure? Is it they think it's a distraction from Sunday, or is it something deeper than that?
Yeah, probably all of the above. It gets messy, and sometimes you don't have a person, or you're not, But I just think that I think God called you there not only to build a great church and to grow a great church and to grow great people, but I think God's called you there to make a difference in that city.
Yep.
And you just start with what you have. There's someone in that congregation, whether it's 75 people, 300 people, who have a heart for something. They have a heart for kids. They have a heart for the elderly. There's an area of the community that they have a heart for because there's been domestic violence. There has been a disaster. And a lot of times it's a broom, it is a pair of gloves, it is cereal. It's just over and over again. You host a block party. You go to, I know we do a lot with our correctional facilities where we're able just to come alongside of those wardens and those correctional officers. What do you need? Well, we need this. Well, we would like to provide that. We'd like to come alongside.
What do you I want to talk about just, you said that it's usually the things that are right there in front of you. And I think that a lot of times it's somebody in your church works with somebody who's going through a hard time and they just rally their small group. That they're working with somebody going through a hard time. They rally their small group. They're just trying to help them. But speak to the pastor. Let's say, you parachute into a city. You've got no building. You're portable.
Yep.
You don't have a lot of money. You got 75 people coming every week. Walk me through the first 90 days of building a serve culture when it's not maybe your gift, the thing that you think about all the time.
Well, and that's every church plant.
Yeah.
That was Highlands. That was a healing place. And I always tell planters and pastors that if you drop me in a city, I'm going to find out, okay, where are the vulnerable people? What is going on here? What is happening? What's the pain? What's the struggle? Every city has one. And then I'm going to try to crack that code, find out who's doing what resources are available, what tools are available, and then where are their vulnerabilities? So I'm gonna try to figure that out. A lot of times you just find that from reading the newspaper, reading online, what's happening in your city, studying your city. We tell all of our church planners, study your city, look at the census, find out what's going on with the people. And then the other thing I think is important is a lot of times there's just good holidays where there's vulnerability.
Yep.
So if I'm planning a church in the spring, I'm going to be there on the ground and I'm going to serve at Thanksgiving and Christmas before I have my first service. Now, if I'm going to plant in the fall, I'm going to find a way to be able to do a serve day. I love it because many of our church planners do a serve day before they have their first launch Sunday in September. Or I'm going to do a back to school school supply or some way of being able to serve teachers or those that are in the school system. So you're just looking for it and realizing, God, you called me here to build a great church, to grow people, and to engage this city, just like Jesus did. Every single day he got up and he moved around. He paused, he noticed, he looked. A lot of times some of the greatest outreaches, Matt, and we've seen this here at Highlands, and I could tell the story over and over again from so many churches, is just during the day you notice something and you think it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way, that person's struggling like that. So what can we do to make a difference?
I think
it's that simple.
I've heard you talk about that, whether it's Highlands College Chapels or even how you're leading our staff and talking to us, the power of just being a noticer. I've seen you do it. Confession, I have been in a Popeyes drive-through with Pastor Dino, just getting some lunch. And that's not a serve event. You turn that into outreach every single time. Hey, how you doing? No, really, how are you doing? I think there's this muscle that has to be built of just, of reaching out to people, notice people. How do you do that? How do you stay in that mind frame all the time?
Well, we live in a world that's a lot of me-centered, that, it's me, 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 me. I did something the other day where I took a towel and I stuck it in my shirt when I was speaking at Highlands, and I was so fortunate. And I said, kind of, if you're listening, I've got a towel stuck in my shirt like I'm sitting at a table.
It's all you can eat lobster night.
Yeah, it's all you can eat. And it's like, serve me, serve me, serve
right.
me. So we get up every day thinking, me, what about me, what about me? But what you want to do is you want to take that towel off and you either want to sling it over your shoulder like a waiter. Yeah. He said, I've called you a servant to wait on tables and to be there. So I think you get up every day in the morning, and I brought you one so you can put it over your shoulder. Just we can look like we at Waffle House. And I want to make these available to anybody that is at GrowLeader watching this. If you could comment, just say, hey, I want a towel. Send me some towels. Matt will tell you how to get a hold of us, because I got a bunch of these that I ordered so that we could give them out at GrowLeader. Because at the end of the day, when Jesus, before he went to the cross, he took a towel and he washed the feet. And he told him, he said these words. He said, it's one thing to know about it. It's another thing to do it. You'll be blessed if you do it. So, man, I think it's as simple as getting up in the morning and saying, God, put somebody across my path that I could serve today, that I can bless today. Is there one person? Yesterday I was in a drive-through, and I'll only say this, and there was a young man there. You could tell, man, he's working hard. He's a young man. And I just said, you good? He said, yeah. And I'd give him a little cash. He was giving me my change. I said, whoa, you keep that. I want to bless you. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
It was like $8. I said, I want you to know I'm proud of you out here working like this. I think it's a smile. I think it's a notice. The world is heavy. The world's going through a lot right now. Yep. I want to get up in the morning, be a blessing, and I want to wash people's feet as it relates to being the hands and feet of Jesus. Pastor Chris has taught us that from day one. This is a church that believes in that, and I believe you cannot grow and you cannot make a difference unless you decide to notice those around you, and God will put them there.
Well, as you talk to mission partners all around the world, and you speak to pastors even in other countries, do you think there's something about pastoring in more impoverished places outside the U.S. that they notice something about outreach that we don't? That they know something that maybe we're not paying attention to?
Well, that's a great thought, because it's so in front of you. We've all, those who have done mission trips, it's so in front of you. Yeah. And you just think about those things. But I realize that, we live in a world right now that is fighting addiction. We live in a world right now that is fighting stress, that is fighting anxiety. People all around us are in need. You could sense it. You could sense whether you're at the grocery store or the car wash or at the coffee shop. If you look around, if you're at a college campus and you're in a dorm or you're in a sorority house, there's someone normally struggling. It's an eating disorder. It's a challenge with the parents. Again, a lot of addiction right now, a lot of medicating pain. And I think that is a part of serving, whether it's praying for someone, it's writing encouraging text to someone,
great.
it's getting up in the morning saying, Lord, is there anybody in my phone that you want to lay on my heart where I could send them something encouraging? Maybe I think about my daughter. She loves having coffee with friends, and she'll do it for hours. And it normally turns into, there's a Bible, there's a journal, there's a scripture. We're offering idea about it. She's telling somebody about a book she read. That's all a part of outreach. That's all a part of going. I think that's the towel that says serve in all those ways.
Yeah, and if you're out there and you're listening, this is the way we did it. We found a couple people who had an outreach desire to help some people. Take 3 or 4 of those people, turn them into a small group. Now you've got an outreach small group. They're meeting all the time. Birds of a feather flock together.
Yep.
Those small groups are going to grow. And because that's happened over years, now we have the opportunity to do things like be in all the correctional facilities across the state of Alabama, and we're working on Georgia as well. And something that even in the news in the past few weeks, disaster response, what's happened in Kerrville, Texas. Talk about how we can really lean on and support partners like Convoy of Hope in situations like that, and how our desire is really to always make the local church the hero in those places.
Yeah, we've got great partners. Convoy of Hope is a key partner in that. We've got some others that are on the ground anytime there's a disaster. We went through that in Louisiana with all the hurricanes.
Yep.
And we just decided we can't just sit these things out. What can we do? Well, let's try to call a friend, call a resource partner, call somebody who's got something we need so we could give it to somebody who has a need. And I know we were talking yesterday about the tornadoes that came through Alabama.
Yeah, 2011.
And tragic. I mean, all those things. I think you said you were on staff for like
2 weeks.
2 weeks on staff. And immediately what? As Pastor Chris says, the local church mobilized. Whether you mobilize 5 people or you mobilize 500 people. So when there's a crisis or a tragedy, it's easy to say, okay, let's go help them get that tree off their house. Let's go help them clean up their yard. Let's go help them clean out their house. That doesn't take a lot of, it's just you go do it. That's not a lot we have to think about. And so since those tornadoes, we just are in that kind of tornado alley.
Yeah.
So some of the men who responded then said, well, we want to be ready. So thank God for a generous church that says, well, let's buy a few chainsaws. Well, then let's get a trailer. Well, then let's get a truck. And when there's things that happen across the state, Alabama, Georgia, let's go respond there. Well, that continues to grow. It turns into a small group. All of a sudden, you're raising up team leaders who felt like I was born to do this.
Right.
I'm a banker. The other day, we were at a cleanup, and a guy stopped me and said, I'm a banker during the week, but during the weekdays and on my serve expression, man, I'm cutting down trees. I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
He said, I don't get to express this, and now I get to express the gift that I have. So we've seen that with disaster relief all across, and then now we're able to go to places because of our disaster response team, come alongside of local churches, come alongside of our partners, and we've got people that are on the ground in Texas, some of our disaster response that are going to help clean out houses, going to help, what they call muck out a house and get all that stuff out of there and help people rebuild and start again. And I think that's, of course, the hands and feet of Jesus. And again, it starts small, but it makes a big difference. And that's the heart of GrowLeader. It starts small, but you be consistent.
It absolutely, you develop a system. So you start with a need, and then you build a system around it. And we'll show you how to do that. If you have any questions about outreach, be it even disaster response, correctional ministry, send us an email, info@growleader.com. And if you want a towel, just email us.
Let's go towel up.
And also towel up. You can also put towel in the comments on social media.
We got them.
We'll get you a towel.
And it's got serve on it.
That's right. It says serve. Big red letters.
And the scripture is Ecclesiastes, I think it's 11:6, which means you plant. You don't know which one's going to get the harvest. Right. So, I think one of the things that is a challenge sometimes for churches is like, well, I don't know if it's making an impact. You never know which one will make an impact. So what do? You spread seed. You get seed in the ground. Something's going to come up.
I've heard you say this, and we'll finish up with this thought, that serving or outreach is the new apologetic. Just in this time of life with people being so cause driven, unpack that. How is outreach reshaping evangelism?
Well, I believe it is because, when people are going through something, they're vulnerable. And I believe when you serve somebody and you go to someone who's hurting or you go to someone who has a need and you love them without strings attached, it goes straight to the heart. You could, there's no debate when I'm here to say, hey, listen, I just want you to know, man, we're here for you. I brought you this. I saw this need. I'm here for you. I just think it goes past all the debate and all the arguing and all those things. Now, we do it for the cause of Christ.
Right.
That's as clear as a bell. I'm not going to do all this for Dino or for anything other. I was saved by Jesus. So everywhere I go, I bring Jesus.
Great.
When I was at that restaurant yesterday, I told the guy, I said, hey, man, God cares about you. God cares about you. Jesus loves you. Because I'm just going to bring him with me everywhere I go. I can't go and he not go. And so whatever that looks like, we were in a restaurant the other day, waitress, you could tell, going through something. Some of us said, let's surprise her with a big tip. And matter of fact, the tip was twice the amount of the meal. And because why? You could tell she was going through something.
Yep.
And before we left, she walked over, said, thank you. I gave her a hug, said, man, God cares about you. We came here today, sat at this table because of you. All that's about outreach and serving. It's little acts of kindness. You put teams together, you develop a system like we do with prayer, like we do with so many things, and then you watch that thing burn and flow.
We're going to help you do that. Let us know if you need help doing that. Last question. If you could somehow run into the guy who gave you a purple snow cone so many years ago, what would you say to him?
Well, I know his name was Carol Gullidge. And I would say thank you for driving 2 hours to the beach, organizing an outreach, sweating about 105, not giving up, not letting the people that said no stop you from the ones that would say yes. They were giving out some little sheets of paper that were gospel tracts, and so many people threw them down on the ground. You can get discouraged by the people that say no, but Ecclesiastes 11:6 says, you never know which one will grow. And I'm thankful that he didn't quit the day before or the hour before, because I took that little sheet of paper home. And 2 weeks later, not there, he said, do you want to pray right now? And I said, I'm not ready for that. But 2 weeks later, I gave my life to Christ, June the 21st, 1982. I would say thank you for not giving up. And thank you for not going home. And I think that's what Serve Day is about. Don't give up on your city. Don't go home. Stay out there. Keep planting. Keep loving. Keep getting creative. And keep noticing the pain and the problems around you. And if you can't, talk to people who have that gift.
I love you. I'm grateful for you. I still, in so many ways, want to be Dino Rizzo when I grow up.
Gosh.
And I appreciate you. And the body is thankful for Father Teresa, as we call him, who's one of the most generous people I know.
I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for our pastor.
We are so glad to have you on the GrowLeader Podcast on this month's episode. We'll see you next time. Make sure you're staying tuned in to GrowLeader.com and all the social media platforms.
Rally towel.
Rally towel. And let us know.
Rally
we got to get you a towel. We'll see you next time.